Hi, welcome to a new episode of ET Retail Cafe by ET Retail. We are back again to add some bling to your Monday morning and make them more interesting. In continuation to our series, we have decided to cover 100 retailers. We have with us Ajoy Chawla, who is the CEO of Jewelry Division at Titan. Welcome, Ajoy, to a new episode of ET Retail Cafe.
Thanks, Charu. It's a pleasure to be here and have this interesting chat with you.
So I want to know from you, Ajoy, about your humble beginnings. How did you started your career? What was your family background? And how did retail happen to you?
Yeah, I started life in a typical Indian middle-class home in Mumbai. And, I must say it was a very happy childhood. Lots of friends, lots of people around, relatives, family, but a very close-knit family. And I learned a lot from my parents, like many of us do. I think I learned two endearing qualities. One is about taking ownership and demonstrating commitment. You take something up, you don't, leave it halfway. And the other thing was the value of hard work. No matter how good you are at something, you can only become better by working hard. Or many a times hard work can even compensate something which you're really, not necessarily your strength. It was fond memories that I carry with me. And, I wanted to also share something about my childhood, which kind of has always been a guiding light. I remember my mother used to tell, like many other mothers would have told many other people, that, even though we are a Sindhi family, we are not a business class family. So we can only give you education. And how well you do is really up to you. If you don't want to study well, then maybe you have to be ready to sell stuff on the road. And that used to be an endearing motivation. But I think value for education has been something which I really hold true to my heart. And beyond education, continuous learning. And that's what I picked up from those early days. Retail, just one ambled into it. It wasn't a conscious career choice. Having joined the Tatas way back in 1990 through the TAS program and then Titan in 91, I was in sales in the initial few years. And in sales, we had a lot of retail because it was about World of Titan stores and several other multi-brand dealer outlets. But unlike FMCG, watch retail was specialty retail, and it required a lot of engagement. And that really sparked off my curiosity and interest. And very soon at a later stage, I found myself heading retail operations in the watch business with the World of Titan stores, Time Zone channel, and some of the other formats that we had launched. So that's how I walked into retail. And to me, retail has been a fascinating subject and an industry ever since.
30 years, more than 30 years to be specific, with the same company. How does it feel like to be a part? Does it feel like a family now?
Of course, Titan is my family, beyond the family of my birth and my family of procreation. In fact, very often, sometimes they feel Titan is the family which gets more time and energy from me. Titanians in general, yes, it feels home. It feels like home. Everything I've learned in my professional life has really been a Titan. And, be it the various assignments, I was, looking up the other day, I think I've worked in 11 different assignments over the last 32 years in Titan, across 5 or 6 different functional areas and across 5 different categories. Watches, jewelry, perfumes, Tanaira, the, sari brand, and eyewear, and so on. So, it's been a very fulfilling and enriching journey here. And I've learned a lot from all the, my bosses and my peers and my colleagues. So it's been a learning ground. It's a joyful playground. It's been a place where you can experiment. And therefore, yes, Titan is home.
So what all learnings have you gathered from your seniors, and how are you imparting those same ethos and learnings to the coming generation, the new generation which have joined recently, or maybe say past 10, 20 years ago?
I think a lot of the learning happens, I don't think we teach. I think we all learn. That is when the person is ready, the teacher appears, and it really depends on what you pick up from people. So I picked up the virtues of attention to detail on the one hand from one boss, but big picture thinking from another one. I picked up virtues of execution rigor, with leading with affection, where you let people free and let them decide. So there are so many different qualities when I look back at it, and it happens naturally. I think when you work closely with a person and you look up to a person, you land up in a way imitating, like children imitate their parents. So likewise, I think, I don't know, I would like to believe I don't go out there and give gyan to people, to my team, etc. I think a lot of them possibly pick up through interactions and role modeling, sometimes consciously, sometimes subconsciously. Perhaps some of them might figure out the way I manage my execution and my time, and some others maybe the way I interact with people. There are times where I have actively participated in Gyan sessions. We have a thing called Career Vista here, and in which we have regular sessions by the senior leadership team, pretty much like we are having a session, and then it's telecast and with question answers. But that's rare. But there are many other training programs that we attend and we participate in, even as leadership. And there we do case studies, we have discussions, we try to clarify, what they have learned as strategy in a theoretical classroom. How does that apply to? In fact, just last week I was with the senior management team in our manufacturing side, and we were discussing deeply about differentiation-led strategy versus cost leadership, and how does it play out, and is it too theoretical? What are the nuances? So a lot of learning and teaching, I would say it happens both ways through that piece. The other thing that I really do is I think people may not be reading it, I don't know, but I consciously keep sending books and articles to a lot of people. Something which has touched me, I share it with a pretty wide range of people. Some of them come back and say they really found it interesting, and some of them come to my office and say, can I have your reading list, etc. So maybe that's the other way. But a lot of ethos that you talked about happens, I think in our company, happens through story. When you tell stories of events and situations of the past and how we overcame it or how we got challenged by it and what kind of chaos followed. I think those stories are the ones which actually translate the ethos. Actually, how did the company behave in that situation, or what did leaders do, or how did we fail and how did we recover? I think those are the interesting pieces through which a company's ethos gets transmitted, and that's probably more important than all the other pieces that I shared before.
So would you mind sharing one of those stories with us?
Well, one of the recent stories which we have spoken about a lot is, and which actually others have spoken about, and which we would like to transmute onto the rest of the organization later, is how we actually dealt with the COVID situation. All retail was shut. I remember one of our board directors had said, hey guys, risk management, etc., the way you all have painted it looks crazy, but this was the early days of COVID in China. And she mentioned that, what if there is demand destruction? You probably haven't seen what this could lead to. And we thought, what has she had this morning? And before in a few months, we were actually,
in that situation.
We were first started shutting, and then we shut everything, and then cash flow stopped, and complete anxiety and chaos across business partners, franchisees, vendor partners, team, our store teams, including the store teams of franchisee partners, and karigars, in jewelry, we have a lot of karigars who work for us. 25,000 strong ecosystem, including all of them, not knowing what is going to happen and how long this is going to last. I think that has been the single largest event in the last few years. And I think the way we connected with people, we didn't know how business is going to turn out. What we said is, this is not going to last forever. So first of all, reduce the anxiety levels of everybody, engage with all the stakeholders. In those 4 months, we engaged with close to 350 business partners, both vendor partners as well as franchisees. Not once, but 4 times.
Oh, nice.
And in small groups. And today also they say, when we used to interact on those times, and sometimes we used to share health tips, sometimes we used to hear out what's going on in their communities. It was just chats.
Just to keep them motivated.
Keep us engaged, to know that we are all in it together, and sab saath mein hai, niklenge. We will all figure out what to do. But one thing that, and they talk about it a lot, and we also connected a lot of customers. So our store teams, they were sitting at home, and the RSOs, we call them, they actually reached out to 1.4 million customers just on inquiring, how are you doing? Do you need any help? Can we be of support? Are you doing fine?
At that point of time, I mean, if somebody is asking you this much, that was like enough, more than enough.
It was, I think a lot of people were touched. And believe me, when this happened, the second wave, when we tried reaching out, there were a lot of times when people said, yes, we need oxygen. Yes, we need help with hospitals. Yes, we need doctors. And, people actually, one person I remember, in Pune region, they connected and created a list of doctors from their own customers. And a Google sheet was created and connections were made. Another person, we did some concentrated efforts of how we can help for hospitalization if there is, wherever we could. And there was people who went and did their own food distribution. And this happened independent. We didn't tell people to do this. This is what people did on their own. And, it is a moving instance of how people genuinely care for other people if they also feel cared for. We didn't have to tell them. They just did on their own. And we were inspired by seeing what store teams are doing on their own, taking a risk on their lives. So to me, this has left a very big indelible mark. And when we started, there was so much anxiety whether the store team's family members will be comfortable. We also said we must do everything to make it the safest stores in town. Forget jewelry, across town. And we went overboard. But nevertheless, I think they took a lot of risks. And even today, when I'm visiting stores, the first thing I go and tell them, you guys are great. You guys took the risk when we were sitting at home. We restarted stores. Your families had the courage in letting you go. We thank you and your families. I think, and they really touched by it. They said, this is something that we really connect with. You helped us, we helped customers, and we are grateful to you. You are grateful to us.
But Ajoy, don't you feel these are the values that you have actually weaved into these people? They have learned from you, they have looked up to you, and they have gained something from you, and they are actually giving it back to society in a way.
You're right. It's always an interchange of ideas, thoughts, values which goes on. And I wouldn't say it's me. It is to do with the entire ecosystem. I have come into this role only about 4 years ago. But I'm standing on the shoulders of giants, people who have helped shape this brand and this business. Tanishq is iconic in India, and the Tanishq stores and the retail system and the way we operate with Karigars, I think all my bosses and all my colleagues who have played that role. So you're right. The way Titan has engaged with the ecosystem has engaged back with us, and the ecosystem has, played it forward. So you're right. It is a two-way street. And believe me, what we have learned from the way they have operated, it has changed us. I think we became more humble. We realized that where does the real power and action lie? And what is our role? Our role as senior leaders in this organization is to serve the people who in turn are serving the stores, and stores are serving customers. So it is the classic inverted pyramid in which it's not a hierarchy, it is a service orientation that we should keep in mind. Because every retailer should be humble, because every day is different, every month is different, and really the action is taking place where the customer is meeting the store teams.
So retailers see a new day every day because the consumer demands keep on changing and they keep on evolving. How do you keep up pace with the consumer demand? Because you have been into the industry for more than 30 years. You must have seen consumer demand changing over the years. How it has changed, and how did you actually met it at every point in life?
You're right. It's a very shifting landscape of customer needs and expectations. Actually, the customer need and expectation is getting shaped by not your category, not even your industry. It is getting shaped at a macro level. Something technology does, people start expecting something else. Something the hospitality industry does, it impacts retail. So I think we live in a macrocosm where, as individuals, we get influenced by so many forces, and that shapes our expectation. If I just play back, in historically, retail started off life by saying, I will enable you to discover products or which will serve your needs, or your desires. And, we used to say, हम market जाके देखते हैं क्या है. And then you'll buy what you wanted, or you will find what you liked, or you might find something. Serendipity played a big role. Discovery, and then some education. Many times retailers would educate customers about what is new about this product, what is good, what will meet their requirement. Over time, it moved into offering choice, so giving merchandise excellence. Then it moved into adding to it service excellence. How do I serve you in the most appropriate manner? How do I make the experience of buying that much more seamless, that much more professional, that much more, elevating? Beyond that, started becoming about managing experiences inside the store. Yes, you need merchandise excellence. You have to have product excellence. You have to have a professional service. But I also need to give you an experience which is memorable, which is going to, in some ways, bring you back, which is in some ways going to create that fond, warm feeling for the store. So a lot of work has happened. Like, for example, in Tanishq stores, I can say there's a terrific amount of deep customer connect. So, there are customers who come into our stores sometimes just to relish a cup of coffee and have a conversation with their favorite salesperson who's in the store. And they may not even browse. Sometimes they browse and they'll say, हाँ, ये मेरे लिए shortlist करके रखा है. I'll come, but मेरा birthday is 3 months later. That's when I will buy. Or they may say, whenever you have something new or कुछ scheme आ रहा है तो बता देना. So the relationship, in fact, many of our store staff have got a minimum of 50 to about 120 customers with whom they are on WhatsApp chats.
Oh, nice.
Okay, so I think that connect with the customer. So we celebrate birthdays and anniversaries in store religiously. And many times when people are not able to come, our store staff has gone to their homes and celebrated.
Wow.
And there are people who have been moved to tears saying, my kids have not celebrated my birthday for years, but aap log yaad rakhte. And they come. There has been an instance where a customer has come and requested, can I take 4 of your store staff for a movie?
Oh, how sweet.
And there are innumerable such. We celebrate every festival. Okay, and many customers want to there is a whole event called during Karwa Chauth in Indore. There's a massive event that takes place in our Indore store. It's been happening for years. Hundreds of women, land up, and it's a festival there by itself. In Patna, we had something called Brides of Patna, where whether you are a bride or you were a bride in the past or you want to be a bride in the future, you can come, we'll do a fashion show for you.
Oh.
Nothing. You don't have to buy anything. You are just invited. And this has now become such a big thing that we are running it across 16 cities, where real women are actually, and then we shortlisted those brides with a jury, and now we put them, they are the face of the brand in those cities. So some of these have evolved, but Doctor's Day or any day you talk of, it is a celebration. So I think creating engaging and celebratory occasions inside the store or in that community, in that catchment, and thereby becoming a part of that community is well beyond what retail originally started with. I have another dimension of how retail has evolved. I think retail has also drawn a lot of, on the one side from entertainment, with malls coming in, entertainment and retail and shopping therapy became a way of life.
Shoptainment.
Right? Shoppertainment. With everything coming together, the entire ecosystem. That everybody knows. But the other piece which I feel which has happened is through hospitality. I think a lot of learning has come from the world of hospitality, the way they celebrate the customer and create memories. The way, let's say, full service, the airlines went out of the way to serve. Now it's a very different ballgame today, but nevertheless, Learning from that hospitality, how do we create really memorable experiences? So Zoya, our luxury brand, has gone out of the way to curate unique experiences for customers, not just in store, at their homes, in hotels, or even sending them to international events or creating events for them. And in store, the kind of food it's served, in the kind of crockery it's served, and you may not buy anything. It's a very welcoming atmosphere. So even in Tanishq, we are doing that for the, for a certain segment of stores where we have the space, etc. So I feel that retail has moved from product discovery to product and merchandising excellence to service excellence to hospitality and deep engagement with the customer. And in today's day and age, with the world of digital and technology, I think it is also seamlessly starting to move towards online, offline, coming together to serve the same needs of the customer. Technology is not an end in itself, but an enabler. So to me, the way retail is evolving, and you can't say that because you're doing this, you can't do it. At the heart, you can't give up on your product and merchandise excellence or service excellence. That is a bare minimum that is needed. I'm just saying the way it has evolved.
So when the new age D2C brands or digital native brands talk about having a direct relationship with the consumers, I mean, the traditional brands have been doing it from a very long time. I mean, they are serving the customer at the store, maintaining that personal relations with them. But what I've observed is that D2C brands are disturbing the category by going niche into the categories. If I talk about, there are many brands which serve toothpaste, which are traditional brands, but a new age brand comes and says this is SLS free, this is chemical free, and this is this free, and we have this range. Just a small example I'm giving of this category. So do you think this is a right way to take the business ahead, because they're just developing and not concentrating upon the profits that ways? They are just disrupting it.
No, I think you're talking about 2-3 things. One is coming out with a better product. So innovating on product. I think if existing brands don't innovate, there will be a newcomer who will come and innovate and disrupt. So I think that is that the end customer deserves it. As a customer, of course, I want to see what's the next. Are you building a better mousetrap? Are you coming up with a device which eliminates mousetraps? Whatever it is. But I think innovating on product is fundamental. And brands have to do it. If they don't do it and a newcomer disrupts, tough luck. Okay, the second piece that you're making is retailers historically have built enduring relationships with customers and serving their needs. Are new age D2C brands able to do it? Some of them are, but many of the D2C brands, I think, have got... So they come up with a customer value proposition. If I look at a typical journey, they come up with possibly an innovative product, or they are able to offer a convenience or a service which is disruptive, maybe at home or widest variety or so on and so forth. So they're either serving you some great new product which you have not seen, or a convenience which you have not experienced, which is better than what is there at a very reasonable price, so that there's an early adoption. I think one of the pieces I find is that they start focusing a lot more on transaction management and not enough relationship. And relationship management is not about earning customer loyalty points and rewards. That is simply, basically selling the customer, buy more from me so you'll get more points and saving. It is not a relationship. It is still business. It is still for the purpose of transacting. Relationship is about when you delight the customer, when you build a deep connect, when the customer likes you not because of your price alone, but because of the way they, were treated and the way they enjoy engaging with the brand or the store. So to me, that is a first piece which I find D2C brands are missing. The second piece, of course, is they are operating under pressure because they have got VC funding and then PE funding. And the entire world of VCs and PE is all about giving you cheap capital so that you can build scale, so that they can build valuation and exit.
Yeah.
The PE or the VC is not into it for building deep relationships with the customer or trying to look at a 30-year horizon or a 20-year horizon for the brand. They have a 5 to 10-year horizon. I brought in my money. I need to go out richer. And I'm not worried about, how you do it. So I think most D2C brands come under instant pressure of building scale a bit too rapidly. And when they try to do that, invariably scale takes a toll on excellence. So somebody started off as a terrific service excellence or a convenience solver. Very soon in trying to build scale, either drops on standards, because it is not possible to suddenly go tenfold in 3 years, even though that may be the expectation, or because they possibly run out of cash because of the scale at which they have to go, they start cutting things out and thereby losing elements of the customer value proposition. And thirdly, in order to go rapidly, what they do is they basically discount in a big way. They believe that price is the best way to build a large user base. And once I have so many users on my thing, then my valuation goes up because my Excel modeling shows it. But actually, whether those users will stay with you, will come back, and will become lifetime value customers for you is a big question mark. So I think the space at which VCs and PE funds expect them to build scale results in these unintended consequences. So they remain transaction management pieces, and very often the very service excellence and convenience. I mean, look at ride-hailing services, how it has struggled, even though the opportunity is so large. From where it started, and then post-COVID, and even now, it's a very different experience.
Yes.
Because in India, they are not able to command the premium they can, and because you want to somehow drive scale at a very, very rapid pace. So I think it's a little bit of a vicious cycle, and many D2C brands are terrific. They start off with just the right thought. They come out with a consumer value proposition, which is amazing. They think of the platform, how they'll serve it. But it is in building scale that the stress comes in.
I guess all these things come with an experience. Rome was also not built in a single day. So, Joy, one more thing. These are the problems which are faced by D2C brands. During your career or professional journey, you must have also faced some challenges. What were those challenges and what you learned from those challenges?
Well, I think many challenges. If I think of it from a retail perspective, how do you ensure that the retail economics and the unit economics is a sound business model? When we launched Taneira as a sari brand, and I was really privileged to be part of that, creating a whole new retail format and then seeing how it can make money, seeing how customer experience of the highest level can also result in unit economics which make it sustainable at a store level, not at a hypothetical business level. Very often these days we have very different models at work. And then how to build an expansion plan which maybe is going to be gradual. It takes time. I think that's the first piece I learned, that you have to learn at every stage. And the first store is not equal to the 20th store. By the time you get to your 10 stores, you actually start building that knowledge. And only then can you say, okay, now I've understood the dynamics, what works, what doesn't work, and how do I replicate it at scale. Another important learning that I picked up in one of my own experiences was when we launched Helios in watches as a multi-brand chain. At that time we were pretty much running a very strong World of Titan retail chain, but we realized that there is an evolving fashion need for customers, and the customer is moving towards a more multi-brand world as well. So while yes, they would want to come to EBOs, but they also want, and the MBOs may or may not be giving them the best. So despite being from Titan, I was heading the Titan business unit then, we said, can we start looking at creating a pilot of a multi-brand fashion retail chain where Titan will be one of the brands, and how do I put together a team which is going to be fair to all brands, And that brought very different learnings. In fact, we realized we needed to create a separate team which will work with brands. I needed to go out there and talk to all the big brands and say, hey, listen, we are not here to somehow dominate in this chain. This chain is about serving customers, and how do we bring you on board? So as a retailer, we had to learn that you have to be humble, because brands, I can't come to them as a brand owner. I have to come to them as a retailer who's inviting them into our store. And how do I ensure that each brand gets its due worth and how does it work. And internally, I had to fight a very different battle to say, why are we doing, why are we selling other people's brands? That was a very interesting question. And I said, it's a very good thought. We will continue to sell our brands through our own channels and including this channel. We're creating a whole channel. We're expanding the pie. And we're trying to bring in it, but it required a lot of internal alignment at my peer group level, at the senior level to say, hey, why this makes both business sense and strategic sense for the watch business. So two different experiences as a retailer and I tell you, any new retail venture, when we launched Mia as a Mia retail store, very different learnings. When we launched Zoya, you launch a new Zoya in a new city, you have a very different learning experience. Right now, we are incubating some formats in Tanishq, which should hopefully give us completely new learnings as well. So any new format, any new product category, any new venture brings terrific learning.
I was thinking you might say technology was also a challenge. Has technology not been a challenge for you adopting it, because you have been into the industry from 33 years now, more than 33 years, and how it has changed for you? I mean, so many changes happening, technology bringing changes, AI coming into the play now, Chat GPT coming in, with people fearing that they might lose their jobs. So how do you face a...
Is technology a
enabler?
So I think technology is an enabler, and we have to be always welcoming. So if I look at, and we have to see how it works. So for us, the way we have seen technology is the digitalization of both the customer experience and the enabling processes and how they seamlessly connect with each other. So there is a whole CRM software that can be at play. There is websites and apps which are customer touchpoints. Then there is Endless Aisle as a box which enables you to see a much larger merchandise and jewelry. We have 40,000 SKUs. We can't have them everywhere. So obviously we have to enable them. Thereafter, when the customer comes online, how do we ensure that those leads get managed? So there's a backend team which is doing lead management. And there we have also learned from CaratLane. CaratLane actually has been on the forefront of running a D2C business, born digital, but beautifully transformed into an omni play. So in fact, from CaratLane, we learned how you can take this whole thing at scale. CaratLane benefited from Titan by helping expand physically, but Titan has learned from CaratLane how do you make an omni play. Though we are a brick and mortar and they are a born digital. So it's been a very interesting learning. And then there is this whole enabling behind. There are so many other technological, there is virtual try-ons, there is automatic walk-in trackers, there is planogramming, there's video analytics. So we have touched upon at least 5 out of these 7, 8 ones. And now we are using some AI and ML in terms of design creation, etc. But with Chat GPT and AI, ML, etc., I think there's a lot of opportunity sitting. So in my mind, technology is not a challenge. Technology is an opportunity. Even if somebody is behind, has, let's say, missed the bus on some technologies which happened. And retailers are bound to do that like any other player because we are brick and mortar guys. There is an opportunity to leapfrog. You don't need, because technology is also changing. So the next new one is round the corner. So you can actually learn from the mistakes of others and leapfrog into something. In fact, worldwide, from what I understand, pure online play has given way to omni, barring maybe certain formats. Like Amazon is a very different ballgame. And even they are doing their own omni. But if you look at specialty retailing, I think everybody's moved on from this pure online to and discounted-led pure online marketplace play into a curated omni play between, brand.com, ownbrand.com and omni. And that's what has driven us. In fact, in Tanishq, we do only that. And, from less than 100 crores 3 years back to 4,000 crores this year, or, whatever it is that we might end with. It's been a transformative journey. So we are able to actually, if you leverage the power well, you can get a lot out of it. And we were very late to start. We learned from CaratLane. Okay, so to me, technology is a great enabler. We should not be, most often we are afraid of technology because we don't know how to deal with it. It is surrounded with jargon, and many of us who may not be part of that world are stumped by it, and the consultants and the IT specialists will throw stuff at you. So I think it's important to decode all this jargon and say, okay, how can this help my customer engagement? How can this help me to run better merchandise management? How can this help? The outcomes are the same. It's just this is an enabler. So to me, technology is to be welcomed, and you can learn from others.
But what if, Ajoy, technology takes your job one day? What will you do?
Most welcome. I can do many other things in life. But I think technology cannot replace consumer connect or people connect. Leadership is all about people connect. Leadership in business is all about customer connect, partner connect. Technology can enable that to become better, but it cannot take away that piece. The other piece, what technology can't take away is business judgment. What bets to take, what next to try out, what new experiments to run. Okay. So I think, yes, there can be certain jobs technology will take away, and I'm hoping it will also create other jobs. But nevertheless, I think at least when it comes to anything dealing with people, sure, there can be bots. Now I know that we have all interacted with bots when it comes to service, but it is not the same thing as talking to a customer, to a real service executive on the other side. In Zoya, we have specialists who are trained in jewelry to talk to you about, and real people on the other hand, not just a voice talking to you. I think, yes, Chat GPT can play some role. We see it as opportunities in training our people. We see opportunities in creating interesting content and many more which we have not yet discovered. But yeah, it's a fascinating world, and if technology can take my role away, then maybe I'll be free to go and do some teaching. I can pursue my running. I can pursue all my other activities.
So Ajoy, I'll quickly wrap it up, and I'll ask last question and club 2 questions in one question. How do you see the future of retail panning, and where do you see jewelry division of Titan heading?
I think the future of retail is in exciting places. First of all, I think there's going to be a segmentation. It is already happening, as in India, retail markets are maturing. Retailing is maturing. You will see segmented play. There'll be those who are looking at service excellence. There'll be those who are looking at luxury. There are those who are looking at functional convenience. There'll be those formats which will give you fabulous merchandise at a rapid pace, so that, and they cut out all the other frills. So there are different need states, from convenience to service to product and merchandise excellence, to a combination of these. You will find segments operating. We are already seeing this in malls. We are seeing it. We are seeing it in brands, and we are seeing it in retail formats. And that will continue to happen, like the mature retail markets in the West or other developed countries. The second big thing that I'm seeing is the opportunity to provide a seamless, blended customer experience. All of us are not brick and mortar or online. We are like a mix of both. We may be using Google Maps one moment, and the next moment you're talking to somebody, and third moment you're trying on something, and the fourth time you're immediately checking with someone, okay, how does this look on me? Right? So it's a blend. So I think how we can reimagine customer journeys which are beautifully blended is an area which will evolve. The third area which I feel is, as human beings continue to become more and more engaged and immersed in technology and technology-led products, because that is going at its own pace. I think the yearning for human connect, the yearning for retail as an opportunity to feel the real. In our case, jewelry you have to try it on, you have to feel, and desire creation happens in a real manner. You cannot create desire with a virtual try-on. You can only say, is it working, not working, But real desire gets created when you actually try on a dress, or when when the woman wears a sari and she stands in front of the mirror, there's a transformative moment. And then it is a irreversible desire. She may buy it today, she may not buy it. That doesn't matter. But I think therefore human connect with people, and having that warm human experiences, that will get heightened because of our engagement with technology, which makes it remote, cold, distant, and transactional. So I think these 3 directions. And the fourth one, of course, is the enablement of retail through more and more digitalization. So suppose you are a customer and you want something. I'm not able to offer you what I have. It's not even there in my stores, but I know that I can get this made. Can I customize it for you? And how quickly can I get it? Or I know something like this we were planning, but you have come now. I'll look up, can I connect instantly to wherever it is being made and say, hey, you know what? 2 weeks later, it will be in the store. हो रहा है, ऐसे दिख रहा है. And if you want, the other piece that might happen is you have a budget and say, sorry, but I can't afford more than this. And I know that 1 month later, I'm going to come out with an activation or a end of season sale in which some slow moving inventory is going to come. And I know some stuff is there in the warehouse waiting to be shipped here. Why do I need to wait for an USS? I can tell you, you know what, there is some slow moving stuff in a warehouse which we'll be putting on USS sale a month now. But if you want now, I can get this for you at a certain discount. And can it be done instantaneously? So I think real needs of customers being solved with technological connectivity and decision making, which is suitably evolved and decentralized, can really. So I think these are the directions in which retail can move. Whether we'll move there, I don't know. It depends on our imagination as retailers.
So before we close it up, Ajoy, I want to have a rapid chat with you. I'll bombard you with questions and will not give you time to actually think about it. Tell me your favorite business book and what have you learned from it?
I don't read business books, but I love to read. So my favorite book, 2 books I'll give you. Sapiens has been one very favorite one, and I really loved it. I have to reread it, in fact. And the other one, which I've already reread 3 or 4 times, but it's still not enough, is Eckhart Tolle, A New Earth. They are both not from the world of business, but I think it stimulates the mind.
Okay. So being an omnichannel player these days, where do you shop from, online or offline?
I shop offline. I'm a pure offline guy because I really enjoy the pleasure and joy of discovery and, only few things. My wife is a very big online buyer, but I love offline.
Okay. One thing, tell me, everybody knows that you are a CEO of Titan Jewelry here in India. What else do you do? What is your favorite pastime? What are your favorite hobbies? What do you love to do apart from that?
Oh, I love travel, travel and experiences. The last one being Maldives. Prior to that, we went to Iceland, and I would love to do a trek next. So I love travel. I love to read. And in COVID times, I also learned, not rediscovered the joy of cooking. I was the designated chef for one meal. And the other thing which I picked up in the last 5 years, Charu, is more than 7, 8 years now, is long distance running. So I do half marathons. So it's something that keeps me energized.
One retailer or brand that you admire a lot?
Like all my answers, I'll give you 2. There is, I've always loved visiting an IKEA store wherever it is, in whichever part of the world. I think there is something magical that happens inside the store. Products, design, everything. The whole experience is immersive, if I would call it. And if I were to say, in India, I have always stepped into a Fab India store whenever I get a chance. And I'm keeping all the Titan stores out because I obviously visit them very often and I love them. But Fab India is something which I think has created beautiful, delightful store experiences, and you very often land up buying more than you ever thought you will buy.
Tanishq, Zoya or Mia? One brand that you choose out of 3.
I choose them all. They are my brands. You can add Carrot Lane to it as well. So all the 4 are, I can't distinguish between, as a parent cannot distinguish between children. So I choose them all. That was my school's motto.
Okay.
I choose all.
So one quality that you want other leaders to learn from you?
I don't know what I can offer. I think people are far better than I am. But if at all, I think a spirit of continuous learning from people, from interactions, from books, from wherever, from visiting markets, consumers, from anything, you can learn. Every place, from Netflix, you can learn. From a movie, you can learn.
So it was a pleasure talking to you, Ajoy. Today we thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. There was so much to learn from you. The in-depth answers actually provided a perspective to what you think and how the industry is going to shape ahead. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It is my pleasure, Charu, and I really enjoyed this interaction. And it made me think. I'll go back with my own learnings from this and what interesting thoughts came up in my mind. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope you also enjoyed this conversation and learned a lot from it, because I am going from here with a lot of learnings. I'll come back again the next week with a new retailer, a new story. Till then, bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.